Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of He's Got the Coffee, She's Got the Tea. This is my lovely wife, Sandra. My name is Charles, and we have another great episode for you today.
I gotta say, you calling me your wife is so cute. It was
You
boy.
are?
Did you know there was National Boyfriend's Day yesterday? And I was
Really?
so sad that I couldn't post you because you're not my boyfriend anymore.
Yeah, I'm your husband.
And
You're
I'm
my
like, is there a
wife.
National Husband Day? Because I would post you on Husband Day.
I mean, I bet there is. There's a national, everything's a national day.
Can I say? I know we had a schedule. We have a schedule,
There
but
could be a national sniffing feet day.
ew. Can I say that I always like when boys post about their girlfriends. I mean, just not boys, like just in general, like when people post about their significant others and like are proud of that. Like they're like, oh, my girl, or like my boy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I've never been in a relationship where people have done that to me.
Really?
Yeah. My ex-boyfriend never really posted about me. And then I dated people, but that was whatever. And then you never had social media.
Yeah.
Not in
Well, I
that
mean,
way.
I had a Facebook.
Yeah, but you never posted. By the time that we started dating and
Yeah,
becoming a thing, I've never seen
I
you were
never,
tag on things, like, and I was obviously part of those,
I had
but
like a
I was not.
Facebook for like groups and stuff like that in college, and then after that, I kind of just stopped. I think what was it? I don't want to say discontinued. Yeah,
That put me in a very sad, depressing
wait,
mood.
no, I wasn't. I deactivated it. I deactivated my Facebook because I didn't use it, and then I got made an Instagram a few times, and then I just forgot the passwords and I never used it. But yeah, I'm not on social media. I like YouTube and I watch that, but I don't have like Instagram or Snapchat or
Yeah.
anything like that, or
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah, you're not a social media guy, which is fine. See,
No.
that's why I don't really like mind that you don't post anything because you don't have it. So it's what are you gonna post like on Reddit when you read Reddit or whatever? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sad about it because I know that you don't have
Mm-hmm.
social media.
Yeah.
But in the past, I would kind of be upset
At
about
me
it.
because I didn't have social media.
No, I was upset that like the people I was dating or I was in a dating is different. Like you don't have to post, but
They
like
didn't.
in a relationship,
They
they
didn't do
never.
like cutesy posts about you, about like this is my
No,
girlfriend.
they
She my one
actually
and only. I couldn't imagine my life without her.
they actually took themselves out of it. Like you know how like in Facebook you had a status and like in a relationship they took their status away. We are still
Wow.
very much in a relationship. I wonder why.
Oh, that's a little fucked up. That is
I
fucked
hope
up.
he listens to this.
Jesus.
I'm
Off
just
to
telling
a
you
great.
fire. Just
Off to
kidding.
like
I
a.
mean, I've no hard feelings, but I have heard some stuff.
Yeah.
Anywho,
I gotta
let's get
turn you
into
down
it.
a
I
little bit.
do want to retract on some statements I made last week. So if you allow me to
Yeah, go for it.
retract. So two things. Last week I said that I found Travis Kelce to be arrogant, and I actually take that back. I don't think arrogant was the right word because I don't think he's arrogant at all. I think he does have an ego, but like I have an ego, and like I vibe with that. We're cool.
Mm-hmm.
I actually find him kind of like a interesting person to listen to, and just quite nice.
Have you been watching their podcast, New Heights, with both the Kelsey brothers?
I haven't. I was watching some of it for research purposes, but I haven't really watched many episodes. I've watched a lot of clips, but I don't think I've sat down and watched like
A full
on episode. Yeah.
I mean, they're not bad. I've seen a few episodes. They're pretty good.
Yeah, no, I actually what I was listening to today, I was into it. It wasn't bad. You know whose podcast I've been listening to?
Who?
Fred Warner's and his wife Sydney Warner's
What is
podcast.
that?
It's
Warner
called
House?
The Warner House. Yeah.
Okay.
It's mostly because they just started. I think they're like 4 or 5 episodes in. Don't quote me on that. But I've been listening to it because I really just like the way that he talks about the games, and obviously as a 49er fan, like I kind of want to know how he as a player approaches a game, or kind of what happened during the game from a perspective that obviously a viewer you don't see.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of fun to watch their podcast, and I really like him.
Oh, cool.
He seems like a really good person. So that's retraction number 1.
Okay.
Retraction number 2, and this one's not necessarily a retraction, but I kind of wanted to discuss this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how last week we talked about how who did we think was more famous, if it was Taylor Swift or Beyonce? Well, I was doing some talking, like we were having discussions after the podcast
Yeah.
with my sister and like a couple of other people and you. And I realized that the reason why I feel like I don't have any hate towards Beyonce. I actually really like Beyonce, but there's something about her that just makes her feel very untouchable that I don't like. Because I just have never been a fan of fanatism to
Mm-hmm.
the extreme where they almost are seen as like gods and it's like, oh my God, they can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And I feel like two
Well,
things.
okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Two things.
Go.
I know that I didn't necessarily grow up with Beyonce, so her music was not around me while I was growing up. So I don't know if there was any like many scandals aside from the one about JC cheating on her, which I don't know if it's true or not. I don't care.
Yeah.
But unlike Taylor Swift, we've seen her in so many different scandals. She's been so low and also seen her in such high moments that doesn't make her what's it called? Not approachable. Approachable is not the word.
Relatable.
Relatable. That doesn't make her relatable, but what does make her relatable is that she does tend to
Hold on.
pause.
Hercules, California. I'm not gonna answer it.
I think if it's important, they'll leave you a voicemail.
Yeah.
What does make her relatable, I think it's obviously her music and also just I think she's just doesn't shy away from interacting with people.
Yeah, like I can agree that I guess for me personally, when I think Taylor Swift is a little more approachable, a little more relatable than Beyonce. But you do find that fanaticism in Taylor Swift fans.
Oh no,
Like
absolutely.
Swifties can be
I'm
intense.
not saying that there's no absolutely. I think
Yeah.
both have very intense fanatism.
I mean, even in Beyonce's fandom, when you start calling her,
Fandoms.
fandoms, when you start calling her Queen Bee and giving her like a royalty to her, which I'm not trying to hate on anyone, but it's like
Well,
once you
I
start doing, it's like you kind of create this like, oh, this.
don't know if Queen Bee is like royalty per se. I think it's
Oh.
more of like, you know how like, hey queen. Yes, queen. But like everyone's like, she's my queen. Like if I were to be like, obviously in
she's not like
the
the queen of
USA
a
we don't
hive.
have queens
She's
and
not like
kings.
a queen of actual bees, and she's like the most important.
Sure, yes.
And
for
if
sure.
she moves, the hive moves with her.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what they do.
Oh,
And
okay.
again, this is coming from a place of loving both and loving their music. I really genuinely enjoy both of their music.
Mm.
But I don't consider myself like a fan that I don't actually think, and I think we are similar in this way, but I don't think I have anyone that I would be like, they can do no wrong, they're like goddess. Like
No, I think we're
I
pretty
don't
fair
think
to like
that's how I
celebrities. We
feel.
could have like like a
Like I'm passionate about certain artists.
yeah, you can
and like
have
I
passion
really
towards
love their music or
an
their
artist or something, but I
acting.
don't think there's like one where you're just like they can't do no wrong and trying to like almost give excuses for them when they do something wrong. Be like, well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I know
Like
that
giving
both,
excuses
but
for
obviously, like
celebrities.
you're right, both fandoms do that for each one of them. But I do
Yeah.
think that there is that difference of um between both of them, where I don't think Beyonce just seems so untouchable to me. Like I don't see myself being able to approach her and be like, "Hi, like I love your music. Like, can I get a photo or whatever?" Because I don't even think she. To be honest, I don't think I've seen a lot of fan interaction.
No. It also
Am I wrong? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just looking in the
I
right
mean, maybe because
places.
Taylor Swift is in the news so much, we're seeing so much of her right now, versus Beyonce, and I feel like maybe it would be different
like,
if it
you know
was
how
Beyonce in the news and stuff.
I also wonder if it's like just because maybe Taylor Swift has more paparazzi around her, and like Beyonce knows how to stay away from paparazzi. That like we don't see
I
that.
don't know. I don't know if that's true. I feel like they both probably deal with it the same way.
But no, what I'm saying is like Taylor just doesn't stay away from it. Just goes wherever in the paparazzi, like allows the paparazzi
I
to
think that
photograph
happens to
her.
Beyonce too.
But I've never really seen a lot of paparazzi photos from Beyonce. Like I never see Beyonce coming out of her apartment, Beyonce coming out of a restaurant.
Well, again, is it because Taylor Swift's in the news so much? We're seeing so much of her right now, or I think that might be it. Like, because I feel
We need to
like,
call like a real Beyonce fan here
yeah,
to
because
tell
maybe
us.
there are a lot of photos.
Jennifer, next episode, I'm gonna message Jennifer and be like, "Can we
We'll get
please
to the
have
bottom of
you?"
this.
Yeah, because I feel bad that I'm not in no way shitting on Beyonce.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
100%.
thinking. I was thinking back, and I'm like, why does she just feel so untouchable?
I think we need to talk to an actual fan,
Yeah,
especially amidst this whole
and
like Taylor Swift maelstrom
for
that we're
sure. And
in.
I also please don't think that I don't like. I do. I have seen interactions with her and her fans where she's been nice, and I'm sure she's a lovely person to talk to if you're a fan. Um, but I'm just saying I haven't seen it recent, like in the recent
Yeah.
5 to 7 years.
I think we
And
should
I
talk to a
feel
fan,
like
and
she's
maybe
sort of
that will straighten out.
she's also a mom now, so she's probably like, I don't want to deal with anything and just
That's
probably
true.
sticking to her own.
Is there anything else you wanted to correct?
No, that was it,
Okay.
I think. I'll probably come back and retract some other statements later.
All right. So let's jump into this. What did you want to talk about today? Should we
Well,
start with the NFL?
Yeah, sure, because we were just talking about all that stuff that was happening.
Yes.
But
so,
why don't we start with the Niners? So
woo, 4-0, baby.
get us,
Hey.
you can start us off with that.
Hey. Huh.
I'm
yeah, we
loving
are
it.
4-0. We beat the Cardinals, although I will say our defense is fantastic, but for some reason they were allowing them some yardage. They
There were
allowed
some
them to
scary moments.
scores. Like, there were moments I was like, I don't understand what's happening with our defense. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is a beast. 3 touchdowns,
Yeah.
like just going off the wall. Like
4
he is.
touchdowns.
Was it 4 that day?
Yeah,
Was it 4?
it was 4.
Oh my god! I thought
4, right? Am I wrong?
I thought it was 3 touchdowns.
No, I think it was
3 to 4. I'm
4.
not sure exactly how many because it felt like a whirlwind of events because it was just crazy. The guy is an unstoppable train. Like, it's just crazy. But yeah,
Oh no, was it 3?
I think it was 3 rushing touchdowns
I'll
or
look this
2
up for
rushing
you.
touchdowns and a passing touchdown. We'll look it up real quick. But right now, Niners are looking very hot. So far, we look good. No major injuries. Some people are questionable. Some people are nursing small injuries, but it doesn't seem like we're losing anyone major right now. So that's what I'm really happy with. But the rest of the league is also kind of crazy. I mean, Philly versus what?
4.
4
He
touchdowns.
racked up 4 touchdowns.
Okay, 4 touchdowns.
He actually surpassed. I think he's like the guy to beat now because he passed. Who was it?
Were they 4 rushing touchdowns? Or like were they 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown? Or were they all rushing? What does
it just says, and 177 all-purpose yards while on the field for 85% of the 49ers defensive plays, and they're 35.
We're just going to say 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns.
I don't
Christian
remember.
McCaffrey, he's a beast. I would say the next game that looked interesting was Philadelphia versus Washington.
Wait. Can we go back to like 49ers for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, first of all, with CMC,
Mm-hmm.
did you see that touchdown? Because we weren't watching it together, guys.
Mhm.
Charlie was at work, and I was here with my sister.
I was watching it on my
the game.
phone.
Yeah. So we weren't watching it together. But did you see that? I think it was the second touchdown where he like went like bloop, like jumped over the guy.
Yes, he like vaulted over him.
Maribel and I were like, oh my god, like we couldn't believe it. Like Mia was like, because Mia's so excited.
There was the one where he did the rushing touchdown and like the defense grabbed him and threw him into the end zone. I was like, whoa.
Oh no, yeah, he used the defensive player from the Cardinals guy like to be able to jump over him and make the touchdown. It was really funny.
There was the vault, but then he also got grabbed and got like thrown into the end zone almost.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't.
But
I don't remember that.
it was crazy.
At the end of the game, though, there was a little controversy because James Conner from the Cardinals went up to Huff and had a little bit of an altercation there. And I don't necessarily know what's going on. I feel like everyone from the Cardinals says that Huff must have said something to cause that from James Conner. I don't know James Conner. I don't know if he's the type of guy to get
but that happens at
confrontational.
every game.
But I also feel like Huff is not the type to be in confrontational either. Like if you're asking us like from based on games, like if this would have been Trent Williams, I would have been like for sure.
But I mean that happens
Ayuk, for sure.
But I mean that happens I feel like at every game. People are talking shit. There's a lot of energy going around, and it's up to. And I also think 2 things. One,
I don't
think
you're
the
listening to me.
What do you mean?
Because what I'm saying is it just seemed out of character. Apparently, like I've heard that people say that it just seemed out of character.
I mean, I'm not. I guess I'm not even like, even if it did or did not happen. I feel like for Connor, that's kind of like, people are gonna talk shit, dude. Don't get that under your skin to the point where it's like,
Well, I think it was just a little bit of a dick move from his end because he went into the altercation with his helmet on, knowing that Huff didn't have his helmet on, and it was the end of the game. Everyone was
that
already
was a little
going to the
disrespectful.
locker
I
rooms.
think he was also butthurt that they got kind of slapped around a little bit. You know,
Probably, but
Yeah.
it's also like I think it just seems a little cowardly to go into a fight with a helmet on.
No, it was kind of
Take it off.
it was kind of shitty. Yeah, take off your helmet if you're gonna go into a fight. But yeah, it was a good game.
People were saying on the comments, it was so funny. They were like, "Oh, he's lucky that Trent Williams was in the locker room because he would have gone after him." Like,
It would have been a bigger thing, which, I don't want anyone.
no, the
I,
only one that was sticking around was Kittle, and that's all I saw. Kittle holding Huff back and taking him kind of,
which I think is the best thing that came out of that, because I wouldn't want it to be
more
like
than
more than that.
and lose some of our guys.
Yeah, it's like, Kittle, get him out of there. Let's end this now. Let's not go crazy.
Yeah, but that's kind of the end of it. I don't. Again, I don't know James Conner. I don't know if it's out of character.
He's
of
my
him to do
running
that.
back in fantasy.
I know he was Kevin's because Kevin was saying that he was. Oh, by the way, we should probably give a shout out to Kevin for a
Hey,
second
Kev.
because Kevin actually watches our things, not like my sisters who probably only watched 3 episodes and they're like, bye.
Wow.
But
Well, let's jump around to some other teams real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
So
You were talking
was
about
it
the
Philadelphia versus Washington?
I didn't watch that one.
It was kind of crazy because Philadelphia is known to be kind of a destructive team, and Washington was fighting back. I think they went into
Good for
overtime.
Washington.
I don't remember the exact score, but they went into overtime, and I think Philly did win. But I think Washington beat them last year when they were like 7-8-0 or something like that, and they were like the one team that brought them down,
So
which was crazy.
Philly and the Niners are the only teams that have not lost a game.
I know. When we play them, it's going to be very scary.
We're winning.
Yeah. I mean, all respect to Philadelphia. They have a good team. They're tough, just like we're tough, and it's always a heated game. Was it in what was the time when the Niners and Philly were like on the field, like almost fighting like the entire?
That was earlier.
Was
this
that like
year, the championship?
The championship? Okay, yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, those video. I think I just showed.
That
Charlie.
was crazy.
I showed you last week, right? The video again of Trent Williams just grabbing the guy and throw him to the floor.
I did hear, and this goes to I want to plug that this is from the New Heights podcast. Travis Kelce said this, but if we could have like 5 minutes of 2 players just beating the shit out of each other, like the National Hockey League does, that would be insane.
I didn't know that the hockey
that
league
would be
does
so
that.
crazy. I'd be so happy for that.
Do they really do that?
Yeah, they have like a few minutes of just like, I think I've heard that they're trying to like reduce it as much as possible. Like back in the day, people would just like go and fight and just be like, it'd be
Really?
insane.
So like if we go watch
there might
Sharks
be
game?
like,
if we go watch a Sharks game, like
I don't know what
what's
the
gonna happen?
call is called, but there is like a moment if 2 players are gonna like hash it out, they're gonna like fight right on the ice.
Oh.
But it's not a whole team thing. I think it's just those 2 players get to do it, and then it's done, and then you're like, all right,
Interesting.
good. But if they had that in football, oh my god, dude, I would go crazy every game.
Yeah, it would be a little. I don't know if I would like it.
Why? Look,
Because okay, last year I think when it happened between the Eagles and the Niners, I was all for it because I think there was just so much frustration of like, listen, there's no freaking way we can even play a fair game without a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like obviously Purdy at the end went back, but everyone knew what he was. It was just gonna be.
It was like if one dog was unleashed and one dog was leashed. That's how unfair it felt.
Yeah, like it was just, it didn't, and to have like I don't know, people be like, oh, they lost. It's like, well, it didn't seem like a fair loss either way. So when the fight happened, I was like, go for it. I guess it just depends.
It depends, but
sometimes it's fun to watch them. Sometimes I'm like, there's no purpose.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that. Look, I understand that the NFL is trying to make it very, not only because I know a lot of kids watch it, so they want to try to make it family friendly to a degree, and they also want to reduce the amount of like CTE players get with like reduction of tackles and stuff. But at a certain point, you watch the game for the tackles. Like if the guy's running, you want to tackle him. You
I don't
want
think you watch
there's
this
a little
game
bit of
only
violence
for the
I think
tackles.
that should be associated with it because it's like an intense game.
I do think that
Don't make it super kid proof, you know?
exactly. I do think that overdoing it with the rules and stuff to prevent injuries is
Yeah.
a little too much.
Yeah, I just
Like I do think that there needs to just keep it the way it is right now. It's fine. Just
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it doesn't need extra um think like rules and stuff
Is there
put into it.
another team that you want to talk about?
Yes, I wanted to talk about I actually didn't watch this game either, but the Cowboys versus Patriots and how the Cowboys are doing pretty well right now
Yeah,
and
dude.
they're a team that we're going to be playing next week.
Did they play the Patriots?
Yeah.
They did.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
You're doubting my research?
No. I was just wondering because
I
I
think we
thought they
should keep
played
a
Minnesota,
tally
but
of
I
the
don't.
times that you
No,
questioned my research, sir.
I thought they played Minnesota,
she
but
doesn't know
it was
because
a
I brought her into the
no. I thought it was a different team. I thought it
Oh
was a
no
different team.
no.
No, okay. But yeah, no, they're scary. We play them this week.
You told me that their defense is doing really good.
They have a really fast defense, and they go for the quarterback real quick.
Which kind of scares me a little bit because I don't think that we have a good, like, we don't give enough protection to Purdy sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, unlike Mahomes, sometimes I feel like Mahomes can, like, smoke a cigarette, can, like, woo, sing a song.
Yeah, he's in
and then
the
throw
pocket
ball.
for like, it
Has
feels
so
like a
much
full
time.
minute. Like a
Yeah.
full minute, he's just standing there like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, he has so much time.
Yeah.
But
so,
yeah,
but
hopefully we get that figured
I
out.
did see this interview from they asked Dak Prescott how he felt about playing with the team that he lost to last year, and he was not about it. He was
Really?
pissed. Yeah. Well, he just seemed kind of annoyed. He was like, "I know you're asking me that question because you're just trying to kind of like try to rile me up, get me mad." He's like, "But that's good. I appreciate getting me mad." But I'm actually even giving some. The way I'm describing it seems kind of fun. No, the way he was just went about it, I'm like, I don't like him.
Yeah, he's a little arrogant. And he's been with the Cowboys, I think, since he graduated college. I think they drafted him, and he's been with the Cowboys for the longest time.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he is a little arrogant, and I don't think I'm going to retract on that opinion next week.
Yeah.
And we're going to see because next week is going to be kind of intense. Like I am kind of nervous. I think I'll these 4 first games I wasn't as nervous going into the game. I'm like, okay, like there's always that like we could lose. But I am nervous about this game just because of what you told me about the defense. I haven't been watching the Cowboys games.
Well, hopefully we have it locked down so it gives Purdy enough time. Hopefully we have all our weapons healthy and we're able to kind of like, if not destroy them, systematically figure out a way to just have more points than them at the end of the day.
I think you should watch Warner's podcast because I think you'll appreciate what he said about going into this week, how he's feeling.
Okay.
The last team I want to talk about is the Chiefs versus the Jets. And there's a lot of stuff that happened in the game. Obviously, it was the Sunday night football game.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodgers was there, which I really liked that he went there. Like, I guess he was cleared to fly to see the game. And he was there supporting his teammates. I don't know. Rodgers is like sometimes I have like good thoughts about him. Sometimes I'm like, bad feelings about him.
Yeah.
But this time around, seeing him, obviously in his crutches, I was really like happy that he showed up for his team because I feel like
it feels like he is
like
part
the
of
Jets have been going through a rough patch.
It feels like he's part of the team and he wants to do well with this team, and it's not just like it's not a selfish move for him going to this team where it's like I'm going to bring this team to victory or whatever. It feels like no, I want these guys to do well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is a nice look for him. And I'll say Zach Wilson.
Yes, can we please give him
He's been doing a lot better. I mean, from the first
he's a
4
rookie
weeks,
quarterback.
I know.
And he is like people were giving him a lot of shit in the past 2 games.
Well, it's hard because when you have a fresh quarterback like Brock Purdy who just does the dang thing, I mean, he even beat Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of hard for these new quarterbacks to live up to that because it doesn't always happen. Like the way things are working with Brock, it's not the norm. No. It isn't. It's usually what happens to like a Zach Wilson or I would say Brock Purdy and Geno Smith, because Geno Smith was like a backup. I don't know if he was a rookie, but he was backup to Russell Wilson for the Seahawks,
Mm.
and he's been really, really good as well. So I think those are two examples of young quarterbacks just doing the dang thing, getting the job done, and going kind of above and beyond what you kind of expect from a rookie
Yeah.
quarterback. And Zach Wilson has more of a classic introduction to what he's supposed to be doing. And he's been in the NFL before. I don't think he's quote unquote super rookie. Or is this his
Zach
first?
Wilson?
Zach Wilson. Is this his first season?
I think so.
I thought it was his second.
It might be second. I don't know.
I think I thought it was his second. But he's kind of developed
I'll look that
with
up
the
while you say.
team. Yeah, I think he's really grown in these past few weeks very quickly. And that last game, he was really putting it to the Kansas City Chiefs. He was
And to
really
the
bringing
Chiefs.
his all. And who knows? By the end of this regular season, he could be like a full-fledged, like, this guy knows what to do in the pocket. You know?
Yeah, I think sometimes
I think
you
a
just
lot of
need
times
a little bit of an
people-
opportunity.
There's a learning curve that needs to be established, especially when you start the regular season, that not many people understand. They just want you to do well and do the job. And it's like, there's a lot to it, man. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's doing very, very well. So
I agree. And to be facing so he was a round 1 pick 2.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he was 2021. So it's been
2 years?
2-3 years.
Yeah, two years. So this is like his
But
second year, I
I
think.
do think it's kind of nice to see like
Second or
a
third year.
rookie quarterback. Would he could be considered a rookie even though he's been?
I think he's been in the league
I said new.
for like he's not brand spanking new.
Yeah.
But I
not
don't know
like
if he's
a
still under
Purdy.
rookie contract or whatever. I don't know.
But
all
I do
the
think to see someone
legality.
kind of do a good job,
Mhm.
I think it's really nice. And the thing with the Chiefs and Jets game that was really interesting, obviously from just the interceptions that Mahomes
Yeah, through.
threw. It was interesting because they started really hot, like they were like getting it, and
Yeah.
then it was kind of like, what's happening? It was kind of going downhill.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's really about momentum. Like once you get momentum against a team, it's real easy to keep that going.
I think that really
and
helped
kind
the
of like
Jets.
steamroll them down, especially if you're going against the Chief who have like an amazing offensive line
Mhm.
and they kind of just score real quick and you're kind of demoralized by it. But if you can stop that, kind of push in the other direction, you can kind of steamroll them back.
Yeah. And but what was interesting too, and there's controversy with the game, was that people were complaining about some ref calls and how some calls weren't called against the Chiefs. There was
Yeah, that's a
some
little
like
shitty.
holding, and
I didn't see the whole game, so I didn't
yeah,
see
there
those
was
calls.
some that were like, okay, that's like obvious holding, and
Mhm.
they weren't called. And there's always that like that idea that like the referees favor the Chiefs all the time. I don't know if it's true or not, but I do also gotta say that there are times where, like, at least in my experience watching just the Niners in the past couple of years, like I feel like there's times where like we also make mistakes and like ours don't get called.
I think it's a
And then vice versa. Sometimes, we're on the other end of it
yeah.
where
I mean, I don't think
we don't get some calls
I
called
don't
in our
think-
favor.
Look, I think it might be a combination of things. I do think that there are refs out there that probably do cheat and probably do favor a team. I'm not going to deny that. I think people at the end of the day are human, even if you're supposed to be a ref for the NFL.
Sure.
But I also feel like sometimes they really don't see something and they don't get the call. And, that's just how it is. And it's shitty. You don't like it. There's fans all around the stage. So there's so many eyes looking at things. And there's only so many refs on the field. Sometimes they don't see something. And if they don't see it, they're not going to call it. So I say that now until the Niners get into a situation
Yeah.
like that. And then I'll be like,
We're like, "What?"
everything's rigged. It's all wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when the Niners play the Chiefs, and we're like, they were not being called.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the championship game, I think was it the Bengals versus the Chiefs last year before the Super Bowl? That one was a little hard to watch. There
Yeah.
were some calls that I'm like, guys, really?
Yeah,
You gotta be kidding me.
It was a little intense.
That one was a little hard. And that one did feel a little bit like, are you really just trying to get the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl because then it'd be a Kelsey, like a brother versus brother type of narrative and that sells and all this bullshit, right? Again, I don't know. But that does make you question, like when you're like, well,
Yeah.
is it this? Is it not? But with that, I'll transition into this whole other thing. obviously the Chiefs game was also a big watch this weekend
Hmm.
because Taylor Swift was in the audience again.
Yeah.
Is it the audience?
She was in the stands.
The stands.
Now, can I preface this? I want to try to get through this because I mean we're already like 30 minutes in, and I want to transition to other things. But I do want to talk about this. Um,
Can I just?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I do want to talk about this, so I'm going to let you go, and then we're going to talk about this real quick, and then I want to transition to other things.
Yeah.
Is that
I
okay?
was gonna do it really quickly because I know
Oh,
my timings are.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You do that. I was watching our first episode in the podcast, and you do that all the time, and I'm
I
like,
know. I think I get nervous about time. Like I feel like sometimes we talk about a subject too long, and I'm like, we should move on. So I'm really bad about timing. So I apologize. It has nothing to do with
okay.
you. It's all about me.
Well, I was only gonna say that obviously she was on the audience and the stands again, and that there's this whole big media frenzy around her and the NFL and her relationship with Travis Kelsey, and it's gotten to a point where the media has overdone it,
Hmm.
and now fans are coming. Now people are like against Taylor because now they're like she's taking all the attention from the game, and it's almost like that's not fair. Don't take it up on Taylor. She's just there to see her boyfriend, and if to get the attention, whatever the media's giving it to her. I do think that the NFL needs to just back up a little bit. The media needs to back up a little bit and just like okay, it was fun for like maybe the first 2 weekends. Now it's been 2 weekends.
Hmm.
Let it be. Let it sit. Let it
Yeah,
simmer. Let them have a relationship now.
I
And
do
she's going to be on the games, whatever.
I do agree with you that I don't blame her in particular just because it's not her going out to the media and be like do a story on me and do this and that. It really is the media. Like the NFL is the one that keeps covering it and keeps talking about it. Like they keep bringing it up.
And the thing
And
is that,
because of that, people when something gets so saturated and so many people are talking about it, there is this like wave of people that just want to hate on it,
and the
you
thing is
know?
that the media either makes you hate a person or love a person. And right now, they were
Yeah.
really making you love the relationship, and now they're starting to really make you not want to even pay attention to it because it's just so overdone.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with the media. It's like you got to just, and it was to the point where it's like, guys, stop. Like they were using her music, they were doing overdoing it. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like they don't, there's the line, and they like fully crossed it. And it's
Well,
like,
it's one of the few times that you can, well, not few times, you can see it almost all the time, but in like real time, how the media really is swayed by public opinion. And if people are like, oh my God, you saw Taylor Swift, and they're like, oh, people want to talk about this, let's just
let's just pump
pump it out,
this.
pump it out. And now that things are getting so much, people are like, I'm tired of Taylor Swift. They're like, oh, you don't like Taylor Swift? Let's pump out this stuff about how she sucks. Like, it's this
Yeah.
crazy wave from the media, and I
And
find it
the last
hilarious.
thing I'm going to say to this, do I want to see it? Oh, yes, I want to see it
Yeah.
because I'm a like hopeless romantic and I want to see all about it. But I'm like, it doesn't have to be during the game. I could go on my Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever to watch all this. I don't need to be hearing it. Like, I don't need to be seeing. And it's like one thing to show her on the screen. That's fine. That's fine. But it's another thing to constantly be talking about it, even through like like while they're narrating the game.
It
It's
was
like you guys got to
it was
stop.
cool to see though. It was like what Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds,
Ryan
and
Reynolds,
Blake
Blake
Lively.
Lively. There's a lot of people
There
there.
was that was kind of cool. I was like, damn.
And since
But are they all Chiefs fans? Are they like
I don't know, well
are they Jets
I
fans?
know Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are like really close friends with Taylor Swift. I
Oh,
don't know about Hugh Jackman,
do you think they just went
but they all
because
went
like their friends
together.
were going, kind of like
Yeah.
that sort of thing?
The only person I know who's a Chiefs fan is Henry Cavill. I
Mm,
don't know. I don't know other I'm sure there's a ton of other
yeah.
celebrities who are Chiefs fans, but I don't know anyone
To
who's.
to end this
I
sub,
was gonna end it because I have more to say, but you want me to
but
move
I was
on,
gonna
so
say,
go ahead.
what's his face? Hawkeye. What's the actor's name? What's the actor's name?
Henry Cavill?
Hawkeye. I said
Oh,
Hawkeye.
oh, Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner. He's a Niner fan.
Did you see that Matt Bomber was at the 49er games when they were playing the
The
LA
guy who
Rams?
you thought was Superman,
Yeah.
who is not
No, when
Superman.
I was telling everyone like, "Oh yeah, the actor from Superman is gay, right?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like,
I remember you
"That's
told
Matt
me this and
Bomber."
you showed me a picture of him and I was like, that's Matt Bomber. That's not Henry
Yeah.
Cavill.
Okay, okay. But then I was like, "Oh my god, how did I not know that it was by Henry Cavill?"
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't into Henry Cavill then. I think I got more into him when uh, we're not going to get into it
That's fine. Let's quickly
cuz
transition.
someone wants me not to talk too
No,
much.
no, no, no. It's not because I don't want you to talk too much. It's because I'm really interested in the next topic that we're going to talk about, which is the writer strike.
Yay, let's do it.
Woo! Um, so we're gonna quickly talk because they have officially ended striking. They have proposed. They have all these proposals that are kind of like going into discussions right now. I don't know if they've
But
come to.
before you do that, can you actually talk about what they were striking about?
Yes, of course. So the writers were striking for better pay, issues with uh, oh my god, what is it called?
AI?
AI. So I can't believe the word escaped me. But better pay, things with AI, and also like elimination of the writers' room in film and TV and media and stuff like that. So they're fighting for all these rights for them just to get paid, to have a livable wage, all these things. It's a great thing for labor, striking, which there's a lot of
I
labor
think
strikes going on right
correct me
now.
if I'm wrong, 'cause I
Yeah.
haven't actually done a lot of research in this, and I know you were doing a lot of research for today's episode, but it's more than livable wage. I think that there is a discrepancy between, what obviously these like big blockbuster movies make and then these like big TV shows make, and then the writers kind of not like it's not the same
Yeah.
across the board of
It's
how
not
much
the
they.
same. And the thing is like you're not always going to have like a writer like Shonda Rhimes, who obviously i- she can afford a lot of things, where there's a lot of young writers who are trying to make it, and Hollywood's making it very hard for them. So hopefully with this new agreement, they're going to get what they need. And so I'm just going to hit like a few bullet points because
Go for it.
there's a lot in this.
Go
I
for it.
brought up the whole agreement, but there's a few bullet points that I wanted to talk about. Sorry. So here's one: preserving the writers' room, which I think is a big one that they wanted to keep. So the proposal of the strike, they wanted to minimum staff of 6 writers, including 4 writer producers, which is a level. So within the the union, there's different levels of being a writer. There's like a staff writer, which is like entry level, and then you can go up from there. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe writer producers like of an upper tier, but it all indicates of how much money you get. When I am part of, I do AV, but there's a stagehand union where there are different levels as you go in. So if you're entry level, you're just starting, you're at like level D or something like that, and then you could go up to C, B, and A. And as you go up, it increases your pay and it increases the amount of times you'll get called for a show. So the same thing happens with the unions, not for being called for a show, quote unquote, but you better pay, better everything, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to preserve the writers' room. What Hollywood has been doing is creating these things called mini rooms, where it's a smaller amount of people. They make them kind of do pilots and beginnings of shows, and they'll just keep this small amount of people to do like, 1 episode, 2 episode, 3 episodes without creating a writer's room, especially when a show gets picked up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so what they're trying to do is like, if a show gets picked up, you have to have a writer's room. You have to create one. You can't have these mini rooms for and just pay them less, because in the mini room they don't pay them like their actual salary that they should be getting paid, or their quote
Yeah,
or
they're
whatever.
taking advantage in some
Exactly.
way.
100%. So that's what they were saying, minimum 6. They rejected this outright, and they came to an agreement that if a development room of 3 or more writers is convened, a minimum of 3 writers producers is required. So
Wait, repeat that again?
if a development room of 3 or more writers is convened, minimum staff of 3 writer producer is required. So they're requiring, I think, a minimum of 3 or more writer producers, which is this certain like
Got it.
level,
Okay, got it. The levels.
to be in this writer's room, to have work for people and for people to get paid.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's one of the things that they got. So they're preserving the writer's room, which is fantastic, because all this, I know this sounds boring, but it's really important because everyone enjoys TV and movies. Like, you like
Yeah.
Yellowstone, you like Game of Thrones, you like any of these shows, the writers are writing this, and it's a lot of work. There's a thing that they just got passed too. So hold on one second. Let me try to
I
find
don't
it.
think sometimes people acknowledge that writing, the writing in a film or a TV show makes it or breaks it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
It
writers
takes
are
it from, wow, this is a masterpiece to like, I mean, it's fun to watch because it's, just something that I'll watch at the end of my day to get my head off out of,
yeah.
I didn't want to say the word mediocre, but sometimes it's like
Well, okay. Well,
I'm at the mediocre level
they're
of
all
writing.
over the place. Like they're during production. They could even be there for post production. Like they're all over the place with writing. Like, what if a line doesn't work and they have to write something else? Like anything that is said within the
Well,
show,
and we
a writer
also
had to create.
like
Like there's few times things are ad libbed and they're just the actor said it out of their head and that's different. But for the most part, most of your shows, there's writers writing that
yeah.
and they should be compensated for that. Another thing they did was so TV writers get paid weekly for the TV show. So SNL writers get paid weekly.
Mm.
But film screenwriters, so writers for movies, they get paid in chunks. So like 50% at the beginning, 50% on delivery. So what studios do is obviously they get them in with that first 50%, but they keep making them doing draft after draft after draft. And if you're in like production hell where things aren't moving and the script hasn't been completed or whatever, you're not really going to see that other 50% and you keep working essentially for free. So what they asked for was 50% upon commencement. So I guess 50% when they start, and the remaining 50 to be paid out weekly over writing period applies if writer is paid less than 250% of minimum. So essentially, they wanted more money throughout the week, throughout the time that they're writing.
Okay.
They rejected that, and what agreement they came upon was they'll get 50% at the beginning, 25% 9 weeks after it. So in between, they're spacing it out, and the last 25 on delivery.
Got it. Okay.
So instead of just having 50% and 50%, it's like 50% now, you get 25 9 weeks after that. So you're not doing it for free. And then at the end, you get your last 25%.
Yeah.
However much money that is.
I mean, I don't necessarily think they were doing it for free. It was just that they for those.
But doing another draft, like several drafts of something, and you're not getting compensated until that thing is delivered, it almost feels like you're getting it. You're doing it for free.
I don't think that the whole part of I'm not gonna get into.
No. Get into it. What?
No, I agree. I don't think that the first that the they should be getting paid in 50, like 50 first at the beginning and 50 at the end, because it just
I understand. I understand what you mean. Like they are getting paid. Like
it's just I just get a different. It just sounds weird to say they were doing it for free. It's like, well, they were doing it for free, but I do think that they need to be compensated, at the corresponding times.
The other drafts, which every movie goes through several drafts, at a certain point, you feel like you're getting worked more than what you were being told you were going to get.
Yeah, and I think that just goes with like, you could apply it to like maybe a job where you're salary and based, and you have to work more than what you maybe sign up for, like what you agreed for. I get that part. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
No. You're doing well. I'm trying to hit these top points that were really, really like pivotal for this whole thing. But I heard, okay, and I'll do this last one. But essentially what I've heard is that this isn't a perfect agreement that they came upon. They got a lot of money. They did a lot. They got a lot of money for the writers. It's a very big win. This is good. But what essentially is also part of this is they kind of like open the safe, if it will. They got these kind of demands met. And even if they start low, they can work on that over time. So the fact that they preserve the writings room, they're giving out more money to writers overall. I think.
Sorry, she's bleeding again.
She's bleeding. Oh my goodness.
I think she scratched herself again.
I think she scratched herself too. Lou bumped herself and she has like a boo-boo and we're trying to figure out from what. So.
Anywho, go ahead.
But to finish this off, we have. So this next one is pretty big, where it's based on like residuals and streaming.
Okay.
So that was a huge one.
I was going to ask you about the residuals
and streaming. So essentially a lot of writers, after a show is made, they don't get the residuals afterwards, especially if it's a popular show like Stranger Things. Like a lot of those writers didn't get a lot of money, even though it became this huge worldwide sensation and hundreds of millions of views. So what they asked for was foreign subs, foreign payment, residual based. So less than 20 million people watching, they get 50%. This is what they were asking. 20 to 45 million, 75%, 45 to 75 million, 100%, and more than 75 million, 150% of residual base pay.
Mhm.
They had counter offers, so it's like 1 million, 8%, 1 to 5 million, 16%, 5 to 20 million, 35%, 25 to 45 million, 40%, and more than 45 million, 60% is what the studios were like, here, you could have this instead. And they settled on less than 20 million, 47%,
Okay.
20 to 45 million, 60%. 45 to 75 million, 75%, and more than 75 million, 90% residual base made.
Interesting.
So that's great.
That is great.
That is great. And it just means that there's going to be better quality product out there for us to consume. Better quality shows, better quality movies, things that we're going to really enjoy because people are getting paid for it, you know?
Mhm.
When you don't pay people adequately, you just get a shitty product, you
Well, and
know?
I mean,
Hey,
not
hey, 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 hey.
not
That's what
even
she does.
just shitty product. I think it's just the right thing to do.
Well,
I
it's the
mean,
right
it's
thing to
like
do, but it's
they're
also because people don't care about it. Because if you're paying them like crap, they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to, put my heart
go
and
above and
go
beyond,
above and
or
beyond. It's because like you're not going to go above and beyond for me. Why should I go above and beyond for you? You
I
know?
don't know. I agree and disagree. I agree on what you're saying, but I also think that creatively, your name is attached to a product, and you don't want your product to. You don't want your name to be like your reputation to be bad. So you're still going to go above and beyond. I think it's like more so pay me for what I know I'm worth
Yeah.
rather than like, does that make sense to
But
you? Like, I
I think
think,
that's also a thing the studios use where it's like, hey, your name's going to be on this or you're going to be associated with it. Don't you want this to be well? And that's how they kind of,
oh, 100%. I can
that's how
see,
they
I
get.
can see where like that's a disadvantage. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, like, personally, if my name is attached to a product, and I'm the writer of it,
Mhm.
I'm going to do my best because that's also going to give me my next opportunity. I'm
Yeah.
not just going to half ass it and then just expect, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
not just because I'm not being compensated correctly. I think the problem here is that they were doing all this work and doing incredible, masterpieces and
Mhm.
yet not getting compensated for what they were really worth.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just a
But
great victory for
I can
them.
see what you mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's a great
Um,
victory
it
for
is. And
writers.
I'm actually excited. Is that why SNL is back now? Like,
Yeah, because they're all writers on that. I mean, like that whole show is about writing.
now the actors strike is still the SAG
That's still
after.
going on. I haven't really researched into it. I think they're still striking, and that's a lot to do
I
with
can see where the
AI.
writers one would have come to an agreement quicker than the actors one. I feel like, and we've talked about this, but I feel like the actor strike is harder for people to wrap their minds around because when they think Hollywood actors, they're imagining these like big, like, uh, not celebrities, big, names.
Hmm.
But they're not thinking about the rest of the people, which is the majority of the people. Like,
Yeah,
obviously the your A-listers, but they're not thinking about your CD and so
exactly.
on. That
And
this strike is for them.
yeah, and the thing is like I understand a lot of people might just think of Hollywood as like, oh, all these people are rich and glitzy and glammy and whatever. But the reality is not everyone is there,
Well, most of them are not.
It's very few that are at the tippity top and it's the few that we hear about all the time, but there are a lot of actors and writers who are in Hollywood just trying to make it, trying to make a living.
Yeah.
And I think that's also what this comes down to is paying people adequately just to live because I feel this all the time living in the Bay Area in such an expensive area is that you feel like you have to become like this super successful, super like wealthy individual in order to live a nice life and you can't just be paid adequately and to be able just to maintain a good living. It's like you
Mhm.
have to be making all this money in order to survive, which makes it feel like you have to go into these very limited, well, not limited, but it's like it limits you into like what kind of career you want to have.
Yeah.
Like you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an engineer, you have to be in finances in order to create an adequate living. Or if you do go into the arts, you have to become super successful.
Like, you have to like basically be willing to give up a kidney, and donate all your organs
Yeah.
to working your ass off to
Which
try to make it in
sucks.
a
It's
field
like
of
then
your
it's like
choice.
yeah, exactly. It's like let people just have and I think this also goes with like wage inequality and like all this other things. Like all of it's connected.
Well, and I think just to close off, the episode today, it kind of reminds me a little bit of what the RBDs went through in the past.
Mm-hmm. What's Erebede?
RBD is Rebelde. It's the acronym for Rebelde, which is the boy and girl group, Mexican girl boy group, from the, I would say it's like 2005, 2006,
Mm.
7 era. They were a big boom. They were a big, big, big band in their time, still are now. They're doing a reunion tour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to it on Friday. This is my gift for myself because I've been a mommy for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Mia,
You're going twice.
I'm going twice. The first concert I'm doing pretty close. I think it's like third row, and then the second concert, Maribel got me as a gift front row tickets.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's gonna
She's
be
insane for doing that for
Oh,
me.
that's gonna be an insane show.
But what I'm talking about just reminded me of that because when they were doing so in Mexico back years ago, decades ago, they used to have like children novelas, teenage novelas, and adult novelas, right? And the teenage novelas, for the most part, were always release an album because obviously they're talented people and they would sing. And for Rebelde, they released an album. They created the band. And they never thought that it was going to become such a big phenomenon. And it did. I mean, I'm talking like sold out stadiums globally. Europe tours, like they did Brazil. They sold the Maracanã, which is the massive stadium, I believe, there.
Yeah.
And the issue there was that they didn't get paid fairly. Not only was each member of the band paid differently, and it had to be them. Like they literally found out like how much each of them was getting paid, and they brought it up and said like, hey, we all should be getting paid the same, which I think it was great of them to do that. But also just overall, I'm telling you, there was so much. Like if it's like kind of the equivalent of what like the Eras tour is now, right? They would sell merchandise. They had Barbie dolls. They had like everything, But the network Televisa said that it was based. They were selling the character, the novela's character, and not them. So that was how they were able to not pay them fairly.
Wow.
Because they were like, well, you are, this was a novela character, and what's selling, all the merchandise that's selling is Roberta, and it's Mia, and it's Miguel, and it's, Lupita. It's not you. It's not Anaí. It's not Dulce Maria. It's not Christian. It's the characters. So they couldn't get any money from the merchandise. They barely got anything from. Now that they did they're doing the reunion tour, they're doing it on their own terms. They were able to get to buy kind of like access to the name, to be able to use the name. But even the tie that they're using for the concert and the marketing aspect of it is different. Now it's slightly, it's the same colors, but it's like slight kind of difference to it. So I think to kind of, be able to use it. Just slightly different, but yeah, like I think it's so unfair to what you're saying. And I mean, they were in their early 20s and they were being taken advantage of because they signed a contract that,
And the thing is like these famous people that you think have these great lives, and I'm sure they are well off enough to have a pretty good life, but they can still be taken advantage of.
One of the girls
like
said that they made more money out of an Instagram post than they ever did from the whole entire thing of Rebelde.
Which is terrible. It's like if you work on something, if you put your hard effort into something, if it's singing, if it's dancing, if it's acting, if it's cinematography, if it's lights, if it's audio, if it's any of these things, you should be paid comparably.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to the individual that they have to struggle with money and where they're going to get rent and where they're going to get their bills paid and all that sort of thing. And yet they still have to have this certain level that you're expecting from them.
I'm going to be honest. In their case, I don't think that they were thinking like I'm struggling financially to pay rent. Or
no.
Case.
But but it
is just unfair to have this big phenomenon. They put in all the work. I mean, like, I'm talking,
It's
they
just
would,
you're getting compensated for your hard work, no matter
yeah,
what it is. That's what
yeah,
I mean.
yeah,
No matter what it is, you should be compensated for that work and not be taken advantage of, because that's what these companies do.
for
They
sure.
take advantage of people so that they get all the money at the end of the day, and it's not fair.
No,
You know?
but so thank you for bringing up the whole writer's strike thing.
Yeah.
I obviously had seen
I'll
that
try
it
to do
had
some
ended,
research
but
on the acting strike and see where they're at.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, like, we have Sophie and Stefan, who cousin and brother,
Mm-hmm.
um, are actors, and
Yeah.
they're beginning their acting career, and
And probably a very difficult
in
time
a
for
very
actors.
difficult time. And I know it's been really difficult for both of them,
Yeah.
with the writers and acting strike. So I hope that this is for the better. I really do,
Yeah.
because
Me too.
I'm hoping for. I know that both of them are incredibly talented. I know something's gonna come of it. So
Yeah.
with that, I hope everyone enjoyed our episode today. Please, if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, because we just want to keep doing this.
Yeah, and if you guys have any subjects that you want us to research and talk about, please leave them in those comments below. And one more time, this is my lovely wife, Sandra. My name is Charles, and this is He's Got the Coffee and She's Got the
She's
Tea.
got the tea with my little cauldron because it's witch season.
Oh, yeah, it is witching season. Call it what?
Witchin' season?
Witching season?
That's witch season.
Witch season.
Witch.
HCST.
What?
He's got the coffee, she's got the tea.
Oh, yes, yes. I was like, what are you talking-
HCST for short. All right. Bye, guys.
Yay, bye.
Bye.